We've all been there staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., replaying conversations we wish went differently, wondering if we should have said more, fought harder, stayed longer. But here's the truth no one likes to admit. The moment you left, you already made the bravest decision you could. Now, the real question is, how do you move forward without that knot of regret holding you hostage? Regret will try to pull you back, but your job is to keep walking, not because the past wasn't real, but because your future deserves more than your backward glance. Moving on without regret isn't about forgetting. It's about honoring the lessons, taking the strength, and building something beautiful because of them. When you carry regret, it's rarely the facts of what happened that keep you stuck. It's the way you've been telling the story to yourself over and over again. We are all natural storytellers, and the narrative you choose will either set you free or keep you trapped. If you keep replaying the ending with the same painful soundtrack, you will keep feeling the same painful emotions. For example, you might keep saying, "I can't believe I let that person go. I should have tried harder. I ruined my chance at happiness." Every time you repeat that to yourself, you reinforce the idea that you are the problem, that you are powerless, that you made an unforgivable mistake. That's not moving on, that's mentally punishing yourself on a loop. But here's what's powerful. The past is fixed, but the meaning you attach to it is not. You can change the way you view your own story at any time. This doesn't mean you twist reality into something fake. It means you choose to focus on what empowers you rather than what drains you. If the relationship ended, there were reasons, even if they weren't reasons you wanted at the time. Maybe you outgrew each other. Maybe your needs weren't being met. Maybe it ended badly because it was supposed to push you toward better boundaries or higher standards. The way you talk to yourself about it matters. "I failed" can become "I learned what I will never repeat." "I wasted years" can become "I invested in understanding who I am and what I value." That small shift in language changes how you feel in the present and how you step into your future. The reality is, you are the author of your personal story. Regret happens when you hand the pen to your past self and let them keep writing the chapters for your present life. You can't control how the first part of the book went, but you can decide how the next chapters unfold. If you keep describing yourself as the person who messed up, you'll live as though that's all you'll ever be. But if you start calling yourself the person who survived, learned, and grew, you'll walk with an entirely different energy. Moving on without regret starts with reclaiming ownership of the narrative. You are not the failure, the fool, or the victim of your story. You are the main character who faced something hard and came out wiser. And when you start seeing yourself that way, the weight of regret starts to fade. Because you're no longer living in the shadow of your mistakes, you're standing in the light of your lessons. One of the biggest traps people fall into after a breakup or a major ending is the constant mental negotiation with the past. You know the drill. You lie awake at night, running through the what-if scenarios. What if I had been more patient? What if I had said yes instead of no? What if I had just swallowed my pride that day? These thoughts feel productive because they keep you engaged with the problem. But in reality, they're like trying to rewrite a book that's already been published. The ink has dried. The past is no longer up for discussion, and yet you keep stepping back into that imaginary marketplace, thinking if you just bargain hard enough, you'll walk away with a better deal. But that's not how life works. Every time you entertain another what if, you're giving the past another minute of your present, and the cost is your peace. The truth is, the mind loves unfinished business. It will keep circling back to old memories because it thinks if it analyzes them enough, it will find closure. But closure doesn't come from mental debates. It comes from accepting that some questions will never have satisfying answers. You might never know exactly what the other person was thinking. You might never understand why things unfolded the way they did, and that's okay. Acceptance is not agreement. Acceptance simply means you stop arguing with reality. When you stop negotiating with the past, you free up energy to start creating something new in the present. Think of it like this: if you keep walking into a room where the door is locked, you can spend days, weeks, or even years jiggling the handle, hoping one day it will open. Or you can acknowledge that it's locked for good and go, Find a door that actually leads somewhere. Regret keeps you stuck at the locked door. Freedom comes when you turn around and start walking toward the doors that are still open to you. It's not about pretending the past didn't matter. It mattered, it shaped you, but it's no longer a place where life is happening, and the longer you keep revisiting it, the more you rob your future of the attention it needs. Moving on without regret requires drawing a line in the sand and saying, I've thought about it enough. I've replayed it enough. I've questioned it enough. Now I'm done. That decision isn't just a moment of strength, it's the turning point where healing accelerates. Once you stop bargaining with what's already over, you finally make space for what's next. Every goodbye, no matter how painful, leaves behind something you can carry forward, but most people never take the time to look for it. They get so focused on the loss that they miss the lesson, the gift, the piece of strength they didn't know they had until that chapter closed. When we're in the middle of heartbreak, it's natural to see the ending as nothing but a wound. But if you step back, you might notice that inside that wound is a seed of wisdom, self-awareness, and resilience that could never have grown without the storm that came before it. Sometimes the gift is clarity. Maybe you finally saw the truth about what you really need in a partner, or where you've been compromising too much. Maybe you realized you were settling for someone who could never meet you in the middle. Other times, the gift is a reminder of your strength. You might have thought you couldn't live without that person, and yet here you are still breathing, still standing, maybe even smiling again. That's not just survival, that's proof that you are stronger than the part of you that wanted to give up. Finding the gift doesn't mean you have to feel grateful for the pain. You don't have to romanticize the heartbreak or pretend it didn't hurt. The pain was real, but when you choose to ask, what did this teach me? You take the power back from the hurt. You stop being just the person who was left or the one who had to leave, and you become the person who gained something in the process. Maybe it taught your patience. Maybe it showed you the value of boundaries. Maybe it revealed the importance of never abandoning yourself to keep someone else. The gift can also be perspective. A goodbye often forces you to slow down, to look at your life in a way you never would have if everything had stayed the same. It can push you to reconnect with parts of yourself you neglected, to rebuild a stronger sense of self-worth, or to rediscover passions and dreams you set aside. Without the ending, you might have kept drifting, thinking good enough was all you could hope for. When you train your mind to look for the gift instead of the grievance, regret has nowhere to grow. The loss still happened, but now it becomes part of a bigger story, one where you didn't just endure something painful. You walked away with something valuable. That shift changes everything. The goodbye no longer defines you by what you lost. It defines you by what you gained. The surest way to make peace with the past is to create a future so fulfilling that it makes looking back unnecessary. Regret thrives when your life feels empty, when you leave space for old memories to fill the silence. But when your days are rich with new experiences, new goals, and new connections, the pull of the past naturally weakens. You stop asking what could have been because you're too busy living what is. The truth is, the mind clings to old stories when it doesn't have a compelling new one to focus on. That's why building a future that excites you isn't just a distraction, it's a cure. Creating this kind of future requires intention. It's not about pretending you're fine or rushing to replace what you lost. It's about asking yourself, what do I want my life to look like now? And then taking steps toward that vision every single day. Maybe that means pouring your energy into a passion you set aside, traveling to places you've only dreamed about, or finally pursuing the career change you've been putting off. It could mean deepening your friendships, trying new hobbies, or exploring parts of yourself you never had time to before. The key is to give yourself something so meaningful to build that the past simply can't compete for your attention. When you start creating, your energy shifts. You go from being reactive, constantly responding to old memories and emotions, to being proactive, shaping your own story. And with each step forward, you prove to yourself that your best days aren't behind you. That's one of the most powerful ways to erase regret. to genuinely believe that the future holds something better than what you left behind. That belief doesn't happen by accident. It's built through action, through small daily choices that remind you life still has a lot to offer. It's also important to remember that your new life isn't about proving something to anyone else, not your ex, not your friends, not the world. It's about proving something to yourself, that you can thrive after loss, that you can design a life that feels good from the inside out. When you reach the point where you look around and realize you wouldn't trade your present for the past, regret dissolves. The memories are still there, but they no longer hold power over you. You've outgrown them, not by force, but by building something that makes them irrelevant. And that's when you know you've truly moved on. Moving on without regret is not about pretending the past never happened or forcing yourself to erase the memories. It's about shifting the way you relate to those memories so they no longer have the power to define who you are today. Your past may be a chapter in your story, but it is not the whole book. When you begin to see it as a stepping stone rather than a prison, you start to release yourself from the weight you've been carrying. The goal isn't to forget, but to remember differently, to see the growth, the lessons, and the ways you've become stronger because of what you went through. That shift in perspective is the foundation for leaving regret behind. This journey also means drawing a clear line between what's over and what's still ahead. You can't rewrite what's already happened, and chasing after answers that may never come will only drain you. By letting go of the mental tug-of-war with the past, you free your energy to invest in the present moment. That's where life is happening, not in the old what-if scenarios you replay, but in the opportunities unfolding right now. When you stop negotiating with a closed door, you finally have the strength to walk toward the ones that are open. That single choice can transform your life from feeling stuck in yesterday to stepping confidently into tomorrow. Every ending has something to offer, even if it takes time to see it. Heartbreak, loss, and change can be the very experiences that shape your resilience, deepen your understanding of yourself, and sharpen your vision for what you truly want. When you find the gift in the goodbye, regret has nowhere to live. You stop focusing on what was taken from you and start appreciating what you've gained in wisdom and strength. This is how you begin to carry the past not as a heavy burden, but as a source of empowerment. You're no longer running from your history, you're using it to fuel the next chapter. Ultimately, the most powerful way to move on without regret is to create a life that excites you more than the one you left behind. When your future is filled with purpose, love, and joy, the past loses its grip. It becomes a part of your story, but not the part you keep revisiting. You stand in the present knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, not because the past was perfect, but because you refuse to let it define your future. And that's when you realize you haven't just moved on. You've moved forward. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. If this message spoke to your heart, remember you have the strength to move forward without carrying the weight of regret. Your future is worth more than your past, and every step you take now is shaping the life you truly deserve. I'm grateful for your presence here, for allowing me to be part of your journey, and for sharing these moments together. If you found value in this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so more people can hear this message. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story and your perspective. Until next time, keep walking forward. Keep choosing yourself, and never forget that the best chapters of your life are still ahead. Take care and goodbye for now. Thank you for watching. If this message inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more empowering content. Share your thoughts or story in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, your future is worth more than your past. Keep moving forward with strength and purpose. Until next time, stay strong, stay hopeful, and keep choosing yourself. Goodbye for now.